Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a spiritual wellness expert. She calls herself Noel the Good Witch. Her journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, Western medicine has its place in this world. There are some times when you just need a prescription for something, but there are other people who reach this point where Western medicine is not getting them healthy, and then that's when they turn to somebody like my next guest, a spiritual wellness expert. Noel Koenke is in the studio. She calls herself the Good Witch. I need to know what the Good Witch means. What does that mean?
Sure. So a couple things. One, it references Glinda, the Good Witch, and one of her famous lines is, "You had the power all along, my dear." I work with women, helping them know their worth, find their voice, stand in their power. And then witch for me is a word that basically means a woman in total control of herself, meaning that she can hold space for the intellectual and the emotional and the balance between the two at the same time.
Wow, and you were telling me just before we went on that you knew, even as a little girl, that you had special powers of being intuitive.
Yes, yeah. So when I was younger, I don't remember it necessarily, but my mother told me the story that when I came to her referencing that I had heard or seen spirits, she said, you get on your knees and you pray to Jesus to take them away. And so I just basically never really intentionally tried to develop it again. I had a couple experiences when I was younger, but I didn't really understand what they were. And it wasn't until I started a meditation practice that I really got to developing my gifts, because in meditation, you slow, rapid thought, you make space for spirit to enter. And so the practice of that started developing my gifts. And that's how I came into even being able to connect with spirits. Got certified in Reiki, which is an energy healing. And when spirits try to connect with me, I do get this pulsation in my palms. It's kind of this physical manifestation of, hey, something is trying to get me a message.
Absolutely. We're going to pull up your website, and as we scroll down the website, I want to talk to you about just how when you introduced yourself in an elevator for the first time.
Yes.
do you introduce yourself as a good witch, or how do you describe it?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I do. And the reason being is because a lot of the work I do is really around reprogramming. So taking these belief systems that we have learned because it's what we've been taught or grown up with, but them not actually serving us or maybe being authentic to who we are. So reprogramming takes an open mind, and if the word witch is something that deters you, then you're really not in the place to do that kind of work. A lot of my clients, if you'd ask them, they would say, I don't really care what she calls herself because it works, and they're getting results and their lives are getting better.
Well, I love your social media, and we're going to pull up a post that you put out a little while ago, and I want to put up the caption because it says, sometimes it's really cool to look back and see how far you've come. If I could tell her anything, it would be this. I'm sorry I hated you. I'm sorry I forced you to stay in things that hurt you. It couldn't have been easy living with all the self-hatred that comes from trauma and abuse. And I know you had to become a million different things to try and be perfect and please everyone about you. Yeah. Tell me why you wrote that.
Yeah, so, my struggle, I've had a lot happen throughout my life, a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse. And so the way that I ended up having to deal with that, a lot of different things, but one was I ate a lot. It was like trying to fill that void of feeling not enough or not good enough or unloved. And so when that happened, and all of the shame-based belief systems that I had been raised in through religion and just the punishment style with child rearing, but that all really created this self-hatred that grew and manifested over time. And every time something else happened that was traumatic or abusive, that would grow, that self-hatred. And so what I didn't realize, though, at the time was that self-hatred, even though it was coming, from other people, now I was doing it to myself. And I'm like, why would I want to do this to myself? Why would I want to continue to hurt myself? Because I noticed I was staying in things that were hurting me, that weren't aligned with me, that were causing me so much pain. And so that's when I really got into the self-love work, because when we go into those places, like that girl that I see on that image, it just it started bringing tears to my eyes, because I remember being in that place, not confident in who I was, not even really knowing who I was.
Wow.
And now coming to this place of finding that authenticity, and so excited for how my life's unfolding now.
Absolutely. And it probably gives you great empathy for some of your clients because they're going through something that you went through. Yes. We also want to pull up some pictures from a trade show that you did not too long ago, and I want you to kind of talk about where you exhibit, how often you exhibit. Tell us more.
Yeah, so this was actually my first one, and I haven't done any other exhibits since. Most of my clients are referral based, and I'm pretty full. So, but that is the crystal bed right there, and it is the coolest intersection of spirituality and science. So it works on the chakras, which are energy centers in the body along our spine, and everything is energy, even us. We just forget that, right? So we carry a frequency, we carry a vibe, which means that those can also be misaligned, and there are ways to align them. So we use frequency through color. Those are clear quartz crystals, which are 12-sided, and so when the light beams through, it creates the power of a laser that beams into that chakra center, helping bring it back into its aligned frequency.
Yes, and even for the people who are watching this saying, wow, I don't know, that seems kind of like voodoo or something like that. We all know, we feel somebody's good energy or bad energy. We all feel it, right?
Yes.
So getting in tune with that and making sure that you're living a healthy lifestyle, you're feeding your body, you're getting enough sleep, you're not abusing drugs and alcohol.
Yes, all of that. And we are vibrational beings, and we do, even if we're unaware, we do notice it. Like if you were at a coffee shop and you saw someone who is, angry or upset or frustrated, and then you saw someone who is sitting there just reading peacefully or laughing or enjoying themselves, where are you drawn, right? It's like we have that instinctual vibrational presence and ability, and you can feel it when you're with people if you're aware and you're looking out for that. And that can also get misaligned if we're in, jobs or relationships or circumstances that are not really aligned with us.
Yes, I have another picture on Facebook. I mean, you're the gift that keeps giving. You have a lot of great stuff. So I think the post was about loving your inner child. So all right, tell us, and I love the headband.
Yes. So that is like what I would call my most authentic self. And when I was younger, I wanted to wear those things out. And of course, my mom was like, no, you're not wearing that out. But if I could, and I still would wear that out now, but it's always like, what are the messages that we get when we, stand in that is, oh, it's too much, or, you don't wear that out, or all these things that try to put us into this conformed box, which really isn't us most of the time. And so the inner child work that I do is going back into those experiences that hold either trauma or abuse or self-hatred, and then revisioning them, a reconciliation between yourself and that inner child, and then learning how to meet those needs and take care of that child. Like for me, that's why now my wardrobe reflects who I really am. I'm no longer in, gray and black. And actually, when I used to work for the church, one of my students asked me, they're like, do you own any other colors besides black or gray? And I went home and I looked in my closet, and it was all black and gray,
no kidding.
Reflective of really my soul and what I was experiencing in that shame-based belief system. Now, I'm all color.
I love it. I have a little niece. Her name is Mary, and we asked her. This is about a year ago. My wife and I asked her, "What's your favorite color?" And she said, "Sparkle."
I love it.
Isn't that? I think
Yes.
sometimes your favorite color needs to be sparkle.
It's great.
I also urge my audience to go to Noelle's social media accounts and start following her because she puts out all this great content. Here's one of my favorites.
Hello everyone. I want to talk today about this idea of duality. It's something that we see a lot in Eastern philosophies, even with the idea of the yin and the yang. And in the yin and yang, you know, one side is dark, the other side is light, but there's a little circle of the opposite that occurs or exists in that. So in the dark, there's always a little light, and in the light, there's a little dark. And I think the whole idea behind that is to really challenge us to push against this idea that it has to be right or wrong, yes or no, black or white. We're very much raised in this idea that there's one right answer and that's it. And so then we apply that to our lives that almost always are gray. You know, you can be sad about something ending and at the same time excited about something beginning. You can be sad and in grief of a loss while also enjoying and finding that joy in life. So I think it takes a lot of pressure off of us when we stop thinking that I either have to love or hate this person. You know, you can love someone and also know they're not right for you. You can have both. And so instead of either or, it's very spiritual to exist in the world of both and just see how that frees you up in your life to experience things in more truth, in more awareness, because that is the reality. We're never going to be either or. It's always going to be a little bit of both and.
Wow, I love your tips. I want to talk about negative self-talk because we're all guilty of it. You know, we look in the mirror after, you know, we've, you know, overindulged in whatever over the weekend, and we look at ourselves and we say, man, I look bad, or something like that. So when we find ourselves talking nonsense to ourselves, how do we break that habit?
Yeah. So the first is becoming aware that it's even happening. A lot of times those messages we've picked up since childhood or from our teenage years, and they just play really on autopilot. I remember I would do the same thing every time I walked by a mirror. I'd just be like, oh, you're so ugly, or oh, you're so gross. Like I would say these really negative things to myself. So it's a first becoming aware of it, but then two, actively reprogramming in the sense of any thought you think can become a belief if you think it enough. And so finding and catching those moments of negativity or negative self-talk and, you know, putting an affirmation in there in its place. And even if you don't believe it initially, that's okay. And that's what I always tell my clients. It's okay. The first is to catch it. The second is to put something that serves you, a thought or a belief, because in any given situation, and I love this, you know, if we're watching a play on a field, which could be the play of our life, you can sit in any seat and see it from a different perspective. And so you really get to choose what perspective you want to see yourself with. And so and then the healing work, really doing that healing work. Why is that negative self-talk even coming up? And where's it coming from?
No, that's beautiful. I could listen to you all day. We're in the final couple minutes, so I want you to look into the camera and talk to the viewer who's watching this video saying, man, I think I need Noel. How does it work? Do they contact you through the web?
Sure. Yes, you can contact me through my website, through my social media, TikTok and Instagram, or at Noel the Good Witch. I offer in-person crystal chakra bed healing sessions with oracle and tarot readings, also virtual. I have a lot of clients who are virtual, and they get the coaching and the oracle tarot readings as well.
Wow. You've been amazing. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. We're going to end with her website, which is noelkoenke.com. You see the spelling there. Noel, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.